A 58-year-old Texas farmer just made the worst mistake of his life. Or the smartest move anyone's ever pulled on a Mexican drug cartel. When Tommy Jenkins discovered $10 million in cash buried on his failing farm, he had two choices. Call the cops and stay broke, or take the money and go to war with monsters. He chose option 3. One nobody saw coming. Not the cartel. Not the FBI. And definitely not the killer they sent to find him. This is the story of how a simple Texas farmer became a ghost the cartel couldn't catch, and the FBI couldn't figure out. Until it was too late. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Are you ready for this absolutely wild story? Before we jump in, if you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button, share this with someone who loves crazy true stories, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Drop a comment, and let me know where you're watching from. Alright, let's get into it. March 15, 2023. Dallas County, Texas. Tommy Jenkins had been farming the same 300 acres his grandfather bought in 1942. But the land that fed 3 generations was now choking him with debt. $200,000 owed to the bank. 30 days until foreclosure. His wife Sarah didn't know how bad it had gotten. Tommy couldn't bring himself to tell her they were about to lose everything. That morning, Tommy was plowing the north pasture. The section closest to the county road. Rocky land. Difficult. He'd avoided working it for years. But desperate times meant every inch mattered. The plow snagged on something. Hard. The tractor lurched forward, engine screaming. Tommy killed the ignition. Climbed down. Started digging with his hands. A rope. Thick. Industrial. Buried 18 inches deep, running perpendicular to his plow line. He pulled. The rope didn't budge. Whatever was attached was heavy. Tommy grabbed a shovel from the truck bed. Started following the rope. 3 feet down the line, he hit something solid. Canvas. Military grade. A duffel bag the size of a refrigerator. His hands were shaking as he hauled it to the surface. The bag weighed at least 80 pounds. He unzipped it. Stacks of $100 bills. Vacuum sealed. Packed tight. Tommy's vision blurred. He sat back in the dirt, trying to breathe. Then he noticed the rope continued in both directions. He started digging again. Found another bag 10 feet away. Then another. Then another. 6 bags total. All connected by the same rope. All filled with cash. And in the last bag, wrapped in plastic, 50 kilos of pure cocaine. Each brick stamped with a red scorpion. Tommy Jenkins stood in his pasture, surrounded by more money than he'd ever see in 5 lifetimes. And enough product to put him in a federal prison until he died. This was cartel money. Had to be. Someone used his land as a dead drop. Probably figured a failing farm in the middle of nowhere was invisible. They'd come back for it. Maybe tonight. Maybe next week. If he called the cops, the money disappeared. The feds would seize it. He'd get nothing but an investigation that would ruin him. If he took it, he was signing his own death warrant. Tommy made his decision in 40 seconds. He reburied the cocaine, left it exactly where he found it, took the 6 bags of cash, loaded them in his truck bed, covered them with a tarp and drove back to the barn. He hid the money inside old grain silos his wife never touched. Then he went inside, kissed Sarah on the cheek, ate dinner like nothing happened. That night, lying in bed next to his sleeping wife, Tommy couldn't close his eyes. He didn't sleep. He couldn't. Because Tommy Jenkins had a secret nobody knew. Before he became a farmer, Tommy had a degree in agricultural chemistry. He'd worked for years developing pesticides and herbicides. He understood toxins, compounds, how substances broke down, how they killed. 2 years ago, their daughter Emma died of a fentanyl overdose. 23 years old. She thought she was taking a pain pill. It was pressed fentanyl. Made by a cartel. Sold by dealers working for men who'd never see a courtroom. Tommy had spent 2 years drowning in grief and rage. And now, sitting in his kitchen at 2 in the morning with $10 million in his barn and 50 kilos of cocaine still buried in his field, he realized something. God didn't put that shipment on his land by accident. The next morning, Tommy went back to the pasture. Dug up the cocaine. Brought it to his workshop. Over the next 3 months, he carefully injected each brick with a ricin-based compound. Slow-acting. Undetectable by standard testing. Symptoms wouldn't show for 48 hours after use. By then, it would be too late. He synthesized an antidote, documented everything in a journal, then reburied the poisoned product exactly where he found it. This wasn't about money. This was about making them pay. 72 hours after Tommy found the money, the bodies started dropping. March 18th. A low-level dealer named Carlos Mendoza was found in a motel bathtub. Hands zip-tied. Throat cut. The killers left him there as a message. March 20th. 2 more dealers. Shot execution style in a warehouse off Route 35. The Dallas police knew what this was. Cartel cleanup. Someone lost a shipment. Now they were working their way up the chain, killing anyone who might know where it went. Tommy watched the news every night. Watched the body count climb. Felt nothing. He started paying off his debts. Carefully. 5,000 here. 8,000 there. Told the bank he'd gotten a private loan from a cousin in Oklahoma. Told Sarah he'd sold some equipment. She believed him. Why wouldn't she? Tommy had never lied to her in 32 years of marriage. Until now. On March 23rd, Tommy met FBI Special Agent Monica Reeves. She showed up at his farm unannounced. Mid-40s. Sharp eyes. The kind of woman who noticed everything. She told Tommy the FBI was investigating cartel activity in the area. Multiple homicides. A missing shipment worth millions. She was canvassing local properties near the county road. Had he seen anything unusual? Strange vehicles? People on his land? Tommy played it perfectly. Concerned citizen. Helpful. A little scared. He told her he'd seen a black SUV parked on the roadside 2 weeks ago. Late at night. Might have been nothing. Might have been something. Agent Reeves wrote it down. Thanked him. Left her card. Tommy watched her drive away. Then he smiled. Because that black SUV? It belonged to a rival cartel operating out of Houston. Tommy had seen it on the news. He'd just pointed the FBI in the wrong direction. But Tommy didn't stop there. He started going to the same diner Agent Reeves frequented. Struck up casual conversations. She mentioned the case was frustrating. Lots of leads. No breaks. The cartel enforcer running the cleanup was a ghost. They only knew him by his nickname. El Tigre. The Tiger. Tommy asked questions. Played dumb. She thought he was just a curious farmer. She had no idea he was mining her for information. Learning the FBI's movements. Their theories. Their timeline. Every piece of intel Tommy gathered, he used. He fed Agent Reeves breadcrumbs. Anonymous tips pointing to the Houston cartel. Fake sightings. False leads. And it worked. By early April, the FBI was convinced the missing shipment was part of a cartel war. They had no idea a 58-year-old cattle farmer was playing both sides. But Tommy knew he couldn't stay invisible forever. Because El Tigre was getting closer. April 7th. Tommy was buying feed at the local supply store when he saw him. A man in his 30s. Lean. Tattooed hands. Cold eyes. He was asking the cashier questions. Had anyone new been spending money in town? Anyone paying off big debts? Tommy walked right past him. Bought his feed. Left. His hands didn't shake until he got back to the truck. El Tigre was hunting. And Tommy was running out of time. That night, Tommy made a decision that would change everything. He called Agent Reeves. Told her he remembered something. That black SUV he'd seen? He'd found a cigarette, but near where it was parked. Kept it. Thought it might be evidence. It was a lie. But Tommy sent her a cigarette anyway. One he'd taken from a gas station trash can in Houston. The FBI ran the DNA. Got a hit. A Houston cartel member with priors. Agent Reeves was ecstatic. This was the break they needed. She told Tommy they were planning a raid. Big one. Coordinated strike on a Houston warehouse. Tommy thanked her. Hung up. And realized he'd just set a trap that would get innocent people killed. Because the Houston cartel had nothing to do with the missing shipment. But Tommy didn't care. He needed chaos. He needed the FBI and the cartels focused on each other. While he finished what he'd started. April 13th. Tommy's plan was falling apart. El Tigre had narrowed the search. 3 bodies turned up in 1 week. All farmers. All within 20 miles of Tommy's property. The message was clear. El Tigre was working a grid. Eliminating possibilities. Tommy's farm was next. That same week, Sarah found something that shattered everything. She was cleaning the barn. Moved an old feed sack. A bundle of $100 bills fell out. $50,000 in cash. She stood there. Staring. Then she walked into the house and confronted Tommy at the kitchen table. Where did this come from? Tommy tried to lie. Said it was savings. She didn't buy it. 32 years of marriage. She knew when he was hiding something. He broke. Told her everything. The money. The cartel. The danger they were in. Sarah didn't scream. Didn't cry. She just looked at him like she didn't know who he was anymore. Then she said the words that cut deeper than any knife. This won't bring Emma back. Tommy said nothing. Because she was right. And she was wrong. That night, Sarah packed a bag. Told Tommy she was staying with her sister in Austin until this was over. She begged him to go to the FBI. Turn in the money. Disappear. He promised her he would. He was lying. Because the next day, Tommy got the call he'd been waiting for. Agent Reeves. The Houston raid was happening tomorrow night. April 15th. Big operation. ATF. DA. FBI. They were hitting 3 locations simultaneously. Tommy thanked her. Hung up. Then he did something that would haunt him forever. He called a burner phone number he'd found in one of the duffel bags. A cartel contact line. Left an anonymous message. FBI raid. April 15th. Houston warehouse. 3 locations. He gave them everything. Tommy Jenkins had just tipped off the cartel. The raid would be a bloodbath. Agents would die. Cartel members would die. And Tommy would be responsible. But he told himself it was necessary. The chaos would buy him time. The cartels would think the missing shipment was gone. Seized in the raid. They'd stop looking. He almost believed it. That night, Tommy sat alone in his kitchen. The house felt empty without Sarah. He thought about his daughter. About the choices he'd made. About how far he'd fallen. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. A voice. Calm. Accented. Terrifying. Mr. Jenkins. We need to talk about the money you found on your land. Tommy's blood turned to ice. Tigre had found him. Tommy's hand tightened around the phone. The voice continued. Smooth. Almost polite. You've been very clever, Mr. Jenkins. The FBI. The false leads. Impressive for a farmer. But you made one mistake. Tommy said nothing. You reburied the product. But you disturbed the soil pattern. My people noticed. Silence. I'll be at your farm in 1 hour. Have the money ready. Do this and you live. Your wife lives. Refuse, and I'll make sure your death takes days. The line went dead. Tommy sat there. Breathing. Thinking. He had 1 hour. Most men would have run. Grabbed what they could and disappeared. Tommy Jenkins walked to his barn. Unlocked a storage cabinet he hadn't opened in months. Inside was a hunting rifle. A shotgun. And something else. A handwritten journal. 70 pages. Documenting everything. Every move he'd made. Every lie. Every FBI tip. Every dollar spent. And on the last page, a confession. Tommy had known they'd come for him eventually. He'd been planning for this moment since the day he found that money. 45 minutes later, headlights appeared at the end of his driveway. A black SUV. Tinted windows. Tommy walked outside. Unarmed. Hands visible. Tigre stepped out. Exactly as Tommy imagined. Lean. Dangerous. 2 men with him. Both armed. Tigre smiled. Where's the money, old man? Tommy pointed to the barn. Tigre nodded. His men moved toward it. That's when Tommy spoke. It's not there. Tigre stopped. Turned. Tommy continued. I spent it. Paid my debts. Gave some to charity. Burned the rest. Tigre's smile vanished. But the cocaine, Tommy said. That's still buried. Exactly where you left it. Except I did something to it. What? I poisoned it. Every brick. Slow acting. Undetectable until it's in someone's system. You distribute that product, hundreds of people die. Maybe thousands. Tigre's face went cold. You're bluffing. Tommy pulled a small vial from his pocket. Tossed it at Tigre's feet. That's the antidote. Synthesized it myself. Took me 6 months. The formula's in a safety deposit box. You kill me, you'll never get it. You distribute that cocaine, you'll poison your own network. For the first time, Tigre looked uncertain. Why would you do this? Tommy's voice cracked. 2 years ago, your cartel killed my daughter. Emma Jenkins. 23 years old. Fentanyl. Pressed pills. She thought she was taking medicine. Tigre said nothing. I didn't take your money because I needed it, Tommy said. I took it because I wanted you to come here. I wanted you to feel what I felt. Helpless. Desperate. Watching everything fall apart. Tigre raised his gun. You think I care about dead junkies? Or poison product? I'll kill you right now and take my chances. Tommy smiled. Go ahead. But the FBI knows you're here. I called Agent Reeves 20 minutes ago. Told her everything. She's on her way. You kill me, you get nothing. You leave, you might salvage something. In the distance, sirens blaring. Tigre's jaw clenched. He stared at Tommy. Then motioned to his men. They got in the SUV. Drove away. Tommy stood there. Waiting for the FBI. Waiting for the end. But Agent Reeves never came. Because Tommy hadn't called her. The sirens were from a volunteer fire department 2 miles away. Responding to a brush fire. Tommy had bluffed everything. The next morning, Tommy packed a bag, drove to Austin, picked up Sarah. She asked him if it was over. He nodded. They disappeared. 3 weeks later, Agent Reeves found a FedEx package on her desk. Inside was Tommy's journal. Every detail. Every crime. A full confession. And a note. The cocaine is still buried. The coordinates are in this journal. The antidote formula is real. It's in Safety Deposit Box 417 at First National Bank, Dallas. The key is taped to the inside of this envelope. You'll never find me. Don't try. But El Tigre won't be a problem anymore. Agent Reeves opened the journal. Read the last entry. April 14th. I poisoned the cocaine with ricin compound. Slow acting. 48-hour onset. By the time they realize, it'll be too late. This is for Emma. This is for every kid who died because men like El Tigre see human lives as profit margins. I'm not a good man anymore. But maybe I can still do one good thing. Agent Reeves closed the journal. She sat there for a long time. Then she did something she'd never done in 20 years with the FBI. She filed the case as unsolved, marked it cold, locked the journal in her desk drawer, and never spoke of Tommy Jenkins again. 2 months later, reports surfaced of a cartel crisis in Mexico. Massive die-off. Contaminated product. Internal war. El Tigre's body was found in Juarez. Poisoned. Tommy Jenkins and his wife Sarah were never seen again. Some say they're in Canada. Some say South America. Agent Reeves doesn't care. Because sometimes she thinks justice doesn't come from a courtroom. Sometimes it comes from a grieving father with nothing left to lose. Tommy Jenkins disappeared. But his legacy didn't. After the poison shipment hit the streets, that cartel network collapsed from the inside. Hundreds of lives were saved. Distribution chains destroyed. And El Tigre? He got exactly what he deserved. The FBI never found Tommy. They stopped looking. Because sometimes Agent Reeves understood the system fails. And when it does, people like Tommy Jenkins remind us what justice really costs. Now I want to hear from you. Was Tommy Jenkins a hero or a criminal? Did he go too far or not far enough? Was this justice or was this revenge? Drop your answer in the comments right now. This is the kind of story that sparks real debate, and I want to know where you stand. If this story had you gripped from start to finish, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. This is the kind of story people need to talk about. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? We've got more stories like this dropping every single day. Stories about ordinary people who did extraordinary things when pushed to the edge. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.